and welcome to I Love the Library. My name is Lisa Trana and I'm the Public Services Supervisor here at the Detroit Lakes Public Library. And today I'll be talking about some of our new books that have hit our shelves recently. Our first book is A Dark Room in Glitterball City by David Dahmen. Now this book, I must confess, I chose purely because the cover and the title kind of intrigued me. The actual story is much darker. It's a true crime novel regarding what became known as the Pink Triangle Murder. And the murder occurred in a wine cellar of a Victorian mansion in Old Louisville, Kentucky, which I knew nothing about, but I was looking at some of the mansions in there, and they look stunning. But of course, murder happened, so maybe they're not as stunning as they appear. The author goes beyond just what the court testimonies had to discover a deeper story behind what just appeared on the surface as a crime of passion. He talked with neighbors and other acquaintances within that city's vibrant community to piece together the details of the case. So read more in this true crime novel. If true crime is the type of book that you enjoy, I'd recommend this book. For a lighter note, we have For the Love of Cod by Eric Dregney. Minnesota author returns to Norway with his 15-year-old son. This is the second book that he's written with going to Norway. The first one is In Cod We Trust, where he and his wife travel to Norway and they happen to have their son. And so in this book, it's he and his son returning, and it's his son's first time in Norway. And they were determining to try and figure out the secret behind Norwegians' happiness. He was intrigued with the Norwegians' way of responding with we instead of I to his questions, and how that shows that rather than responding to how they are doing compared to others, they're doing it based on how everyone is doing, which I found quite intriguing. So dive into traveling through Norway with Eric and his son, find some happiness, and learn new information about Norway. Up next we have In Love with Movies, From New Yorker Films to Lincoln Plaza Cinemas by Daniel Talbot. Daniel Talbot helped shape the way that art house film lovers attended movies, which art house films were more lesser known foreign type movies, which I didn't know that's what that was. Talbot opened the New Yorker Theater in the 1960s, and it specialized in importing foreign films that other theaters weren't necessarily getting at that time, and they weren't readily available in the United States. He eventually opened some other theaters, as well as started a film distribution company to distribute those films that were harder to get here in the States. So learn more about Talbot, how he chose the films that he did, and the art film community within this book. It's a really fun read. Switching to historical fiction, we have The Last Confessions of Sylvia P. by Lee Kravenitz. It's a literary mystery and a look into Sylvia Plath's life. This book follows three main characters, her psychiatrist, her rival, and a curator of antiques. The book starts out with the curator of antiques making a discovery of the original journaled versions of the bell jar. For anyone who enjoys poetry and literary history, this is the perfect book for you, even though it may still give you more questions than you originally wanted. We have Carved in Stone by Elizabeth Camden. This is not based on anyone's actual life or anything, but it's still a fun historical fiction, which takes place in New York. Gwen Kellerman leads a quiet life, ignoring her role primarily of heiress to the Blackstone dynasty, and Patrick O'Neill is a rough and ready lawyer who has brought a case against the Blackstones. Gwen is sent, of course, to try and see if Patrick could drop the case, but more mysteries are uncovered while the case is being investigated, and of course there's a little bit of a love story. So depending on, how the case goes and what the mysteries are, we'll see if that couple makes it in that book or not. And next up, we do have another one that's a historical fiction based on a true person. We have The Prince of Skies by Antoine Iturbe. This book is based on the true story of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, which is the author of The Little Prince. Before Antoine wrote The Little Prince, he and his friends were chosen to help create new airmail routes around the globe. Learn more about what influenced his writings and his historical fiction, and what is filled with drama, romance, and more. One of the interesting things I learned about Antoine is that he had actually crashed his plane in a desert at one point, and he and his friends were able to survive that desert crash for 4 days before getting rescued by a Bedouin. And at that point, that actually referenced in his Little Prince book. There's a time where a pilot crashes in the desert, and that influenced that aspect. So, another interesting historical fiction look at a different author. Thank you so much for watching I Love the Library, and we hope to see you in here soon reading some of these new books we have.